Iowa women's basketball marches on into at least round 2 of March Madness in the NCAA tournament after a nail-biting opening game against a 15 seed in FAIRLEIGh Dickinson, FDU, a team that came into this game looking confident from three. They turned Iowa over early and really scrapped and forced Iowa to win a low-scoring game in which they barely hit 100 as the total. Iowa was, I believe, favored by 35 heading into this thing. No 15 seed has ever won an NCAA tournament game. So this would have been, I made the mistake on our Discord in the second half of saying if FDU pulls this game out, it's the biggest upset in women's college basketball tournament history, and I was mistaken because in 98, the Stanford Cardinal fell as a 1 seed, but there has never been a 15 seed that has been victorious over a 2. FDU nearly made that happen today, but in the end, too much from Iowa on the glass. FAIRLEIGh Dickinson, like I said, they just hung around with scrappiness and three-point shooting. Jack 32 threes, compared to just 26 two-point attempts. Shot 31% from three, 31% from the field. So do the math there. FDU really didn't shoot the ball well at all from inside the two-point arc. Let's do some quick math here. I'm looking at the box score. FDU was, 26. They were 8 of 26 from 2. So, 30.7%, if I'm looking at this total correctly. 30.7%, if I did the math right, from 2. But again, they were 31% from 3, and it kept them in the game. Iowa out-rebounded the Knights 45-27. I was looking at the split box at halftime, and Iowa was dominating the glass at halftime. They also outpaced FDU. This is an unbelievable stat, partially because of how Iowa plays, big part because how Iowa plays and the number of threes FDU takes, but this is incredible. Iowa wins by 10. FDU shoots 2 free throws. Iowa shoots 29. 2 free throws to 29. Iowa was plus 27 at the free throw line as it relates to attempts. I thought the Iowa men had a big advantage yesterday against Clemson. Nothing compared to what happened today. But the stats are so up and down. Roller coaster stats as you look through the box scores. I mentioned 30% from the field for FDU, 31% from 3. On the flip side, Iowa shot the ball really well inside the three-point arc, 42% as a whole from the field, 8% from 3. So if you take the 13 three-point attempts off, let me do quick math here as well. 19 of 35, Iowa shot 54.3% from 2, shot 8% from 3, 59% from the foul line in spite of 29 attempts. Again, Iowa was plus 19 on the glass. They shared the ball better than FDU did. At least you could argue that. The assist numbers would at least indicate such. 17-10 in favor of the Hawkeyes. But FDU turned the ball over a little less than Iowa. Iowa 14 turnovers to FDU's 11. Iowa, of course, dominated the paint. I'm actually surprised it wasn't a bigger than 16 plus 16 margin. But basically, all of FDU's points, I mean, again, I'm doing a lot of quick math on the fly here. But, 30 of FDU's points came from 3, right? 30 of their 48 points came from 3. And then 12 of their points came in the paint. So do the math. 30 plus 12, so 42 of their 48, if I can get it out. 42 of their 48 came either from 3 or points in the paint. And, oh, by the way, they made a pair of free throws. That's 44 of their 48 points. That means only 4 FDU points were scored between the three-point line and the paint. Now, I get this is college basketball 2025, but usually, as Coach Close always reiterates on our men's show, if you're giving up a bunch of threes and points in the paint, usually an indicator your defense isn't great. You want teams to take tough twos. And I think in general, Iowa did that when FDU wasn't getting looks at 3. But the three-point shots kept them in the game. They only scored 48, but didn't need to score a ton because their defense was really good, and Iowa could not hit the broadside of a barn from 3. As I mentioned, 1 of 13 from 3. The Hawkeyes got nothing from their freshmen, so their bench was basically null and void. Thankfully, Taylor Strimlow avoided foul trouble in the second half. She dealt with a pair of fouls in the second quarter that put her on the bench. Iowa rode the starters, as I was pleading with Jan at halftime to do. Rode the starters, played heavy minutes. No one in the starting lineup besides Strimlow played less than 33 minutes. I was Ava Hayden with 33, but Stolke played 37. Chit Chat Wright played 39. Feuerbach played 38. Going to be a quick turnaround. We'll see time on the Monday game. Let's hope it's in the evening. I would guess it is, given the fact that this game was played around 5. I mean, I think fans are going to show up. They're going to find a way to show up regardless. But Virginia's played an extra game. Remember, they played in the first 4, and then it took overtime for them to beat Georgia. That's been the 1 seed upset thus far in this tournament. All right, we're here to talk Iowa women's basketball with you. I am going to stay on here for at least the next hour. I know our friend Kachine is under the weather, so we've got her at least for the next half hour. Let's get right to the person people want to hear from, Miss Kachine Alexander, former Hawkeye guard. Kachine, you're looking good. I know you don't feel good, but we're thankful you're here after a Hawkeye win in March.
Hello, Corey. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, I'm not blown away by the performance today. It was brought up at the end of the game that by the ESPN crew that a win is a win in March, and it doesn't matter what they look like. From a confidence perspective, from a fan's confidence perspective, it does. But it's survive in advance, right? FAIRLEIGH Dickinson's season is over. Iowa's is not. It was not pretty. I think Iowa was favored by 35 heading into this game. It was a 1-point lead at halftime. And you probably heard me read through some of the stats. It's amazing how up and down the stat sheet is collectively. How do you start to pick this thing apart and react to Iowa's 10-point win over 15 seed FDU?
Yeah, I think we've kind of said all season that if our defense is not clicking, we struggle on the offensive end. It's a two-part for us. And I don't think that we were very intense on the defensive end like we have been. And I think that's what happens. In the NCAA tournament, if you give a lower seed, or any team for that matter, especially a lower seed who thinks, they have upset on their mind, any leeway of any sort, it becomes a very tough game in that aspect. I think 1 of 13 is not going to cut it. I don't care what we're doing. 1 of 13 is not going to cut it because, like I said before, that makes our best player's job, Ava's job, so much harder. Now, she was fantastic today.
They're not going to beat many. They're not going to beat hardly anyone.
Yeah,
they're not going to beat Virginia doing that on Monday.
No, they're not. And so I think that to me is the one thing that stuck out tremendously to me is our outside shooting. That can't happen. I think that we had 2 starters that were non-factors, in my opinion, and that can't happen either. I'm not worried about Stremlo in that aspect only because she's kind of like a gamer in general. So I would have more I'd be okay with the quick turnaround, knowing that she will probably be able to turn it around. So I'm not too stressed out about her. I do know that Kylie Fairbach has got to do something. Like it can't. This is your last.
What does that mean though?
This is your last go around.
Yeah.
So being timid is not going to get you anywhere.
What do you want her to do?
Because I want her to be aggressive. Like, I'm not saying, like, we all know I don't want Kylie taking crazy layups over 3 people. I'm not saying that. But you have to be aggressive to even push the envelope. Be smart about it, of course. But if you're not even looking, then you're a non-factor. We can't have that. And so, and I really wish that Coach Jay would try journey at the 3 more. I'm pushing that. I've been pushing it. I'm pushing it even more. Because if we have a situation like this, Addie Deal is doing what Addie Deal does, right? Like at this point, like
what is that? What is that?
She's up and down. She's a true freshman who is going to give you turnovers. She may take shots over 3 people. You never know what you're going to get from her. So, in my opinion,
real quick, can I just challenge you on something?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's not a true freshman. Good true freshman, and this is going to sound really cruel, but I made the comment at halftime. The one thing that really, but people are like, you're anti-Addie. I'm not anti-Addie. What bothers me about Addie is she tries to do too much. Agreed. Because when you're a freshman, the way you get on the court, Kachine, you know this because you got on the court as a freshman, is you hustle on defense, and you know what your role is on offense. Maybe it's 3-point shooting, or if it's like Tate Sage is a great example of that on the men's side. He wasn't even highly recruited, but he plays defense, and he's got length, which helps him. But he spots up from 3, and he slashes. That's it. That's what he does. He doesn't try to do too much. And to me, Addie tries to play like she did in high school, and she can't do that right now. And maybe in a year or 2, she's going to be able to do that and see her potential out. But that's what's so frustrating. Journey all year has played within herself and just does what she does. She crashes the glass, gets easy buckets, and plays defense. That's what I wish Addie would do. To me, what Addie needs to do is focus on getting open from 3, because they have a huge black hole right now without Taylor McCabe as it relates to shooting the basketball. I don't know why, and maybe it has been honed in upon her by the coaching staff since Taylor went down, but that would have been my priority. I just sat her down and said, look, we know you're going to be great. We think you can handle the ball. We think you can do it all. But what we need you right now in the last month of the season plus is we need you to be able to work on your off-ball offense, spot up, come off screens hard, and figure out a way to impact this game on the defensive end. And to me, she doesn't seem laser focused on anything and it's what makes her a roller coaster, in my opinion.
I can agree with that. But yeah, I think we desperately need to try Journey at the 3 because of what you just said. You have no idea what you're going to get at that point in time, and she is our only guard off the bench. Honestly, like at least as far as what we are seeing, Coach Jay is not really putting Callie in. So my point is, at this point, you're going to have to put Journey in at the 3. We cannot be only having that as an option, especially if we get into a situation where we do have 2 people who are not playing their best basketball. But with all that being said, a win is a win. There are going to be times that you're going to win real ugly in the NCAA tournament, and that's really all that matters at the end of the day. But I think that there are a lot of things that need to be discussed before you hit Virginia, and this game just made your second game that much harder. Because now Virginia's sitting there watching you play an FDU like you played. Iowa was not impressive of any sort. So now Virginia has it in their mind like, oh, yeah, Sweet 16. All we got to do is X, Y, and Z, and we there. This ain't that, et cetera. They're probably thinking this is the least strongest 2 seed there is scenario. So in my opinion, like they just made their lives a lot harder for this second game if they would have came out and blew them out by 20 or 30 or 40, whatever. That puts a little doubt in the other team's head. But now they got upset on their minds.
They do, and they should. And I will say this, there is something to be said for Virginia having to play in the first 4 and then going to overtime to beat Georgia. However, I think take that with a grain of salt. Kachine, you've been in postseason play, and you understand the challenges of quick bounce-back games. But let's also not forget, like, these teams are also used to playing. In November, they sometimes play 2 or 3 days in a row. And conference tournament week, you play 2, 3, or even 4 or 5 games in a row, back to back to back. Virginia's getting a day off, and they got a day off after their first 4 win. And unlike the men's game, they don't have to travel from Dayton. Like what, who was it that just, Texas, right? Texas played in Dayton, won on the men's side in Dayton, had to fly the next day or that night or whatever they did out to like Washington or Portland, I believe it was. And then they upset whoever they played. That's tough. And I'm not saying what Virginia has on its plate isn't tough, but Iowa's not real deep. The starters played a ton of minutes tonight. I don't know that there's this massive physical difference there just because they had to play 5 extra minutes and won 2 days, had to play an extra game 2 days ago. Kachine, are we making people making too much of the physical side of what Virginia's up against?
I will say this. This game, on a regular occasion, I would probably agree with you, but the conditions of this game definitely would wear on them a little bit because they already have a game under their belt. And I don't know what the temperature was back then, 2 days ago, whatever the case might be, but this one definitely. I'm not going to say it's a huge difference, but it's definitely something in that aspect because that is playing in heat exhausts your body completely. I don't care who you are. So I think for them, it'll play a little bit more than it probably would have beforehand because you're right with the days in between and things like that. But I do think that the heat probably is going to play a little bit of a role to a degree.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Has Carver always been without AC? Why?
Because
I don't need to hear about it. It's a winter arena. I get that.
That's why.
Okay, well, this should be a lesson for us all. And by the way, you can also use the arena for other things. Like there are concerts, there are events. I don't know. So I'm assuming that limits their ability to use it for other things. Maybe it's a discussion for a different day, but
I don't even think they really use it, honestly speaking, for anything else outside of Iowa sports.
They can't. They have no They have no AC.
Well, they have camps and stuff in the summertime, and we were dying in the summertime. So yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay. And I hope that gets looked at because that's, first of all, the NCAA could easily, like, if I was FDU or Georgia or any, I might petition the NCAA and say, hey, I don't know, maybe there's a lot of arenas that aren't air conditioned. I've not heard of this being a problem, but I would just think, especially with the schools down south, like they've all got AC, I would think, because they're warm
Yes.
a lot of the
Mhm.
year.
Mhm.
So, but you're right. I mean, the heat, the fatigue, the bench gave Iowa nothing. I mean, Journey was not good. Addy was not good.
Mm-mm.
And it was interesting. I didn't expect Jan to turn to Callie, but at the same time, Hawkball4 brings it up in the chat. Why not Callie? With the lack of production on the bench and the conditions, are you surprised they didn't go to Callie? And let's add this in too. It's not like FDU gives you size, so it's not like you had to go post heavy from that in that respect. Are you surprised that Callie didn't get a run today?
I mean, I would have done it just to save yourself in general. It's not like you were losing anything at that point. But I do know that coaches go with who they're most comfortable with.
Folks, please be kind to one another in the chat, especially if someone else has an opinion that is different than yours. Especially, let's not go personal.
Okay, I gotta address this. I don't know if some of y'all are just really slow, but football and baseball are used to playing in the heat. That means they play in the heat every day. That means their muscles are built for that. Their lungs, everything is built for that. If you bring an inside team outside, they're gonna struggle because they do not play in the heat. They play in the nice, cool air, which is why I didn't play outside sports. I don't like it. But again, it does have an effect, you guys. If you are not used to that and you're not training your body in the heat, that's what's going to happen. And I'm not saying that's the reason why they struggled. I could care less. But all I'm saying is if they don't take care of themselves tonight, they might have an issue going forward. Again, y'all are tomatoes and apples at this point. Like, football's an outside sport. They play in the cold. They play in the heat. They play anytime. They practice in the cold. They practice in the heat. So does baseball. Basketball doesn't do that. You see us outside? We don't play outside. So I don't understand why y'all are not getting that. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make logical sense. Do not compare apples to oranges, please. That don't make sense.
They did play that DePaul game outside 2 Octobers ago, but yeah,
freezing their asses off.
I know. I didn't like that because I thought it was an injury risk. Muscles get tight in the cold. So, anyways,
and the thing is, I'm not making excuses like that's the reason we played bad. I never said that. All I'm saying is the logicalness of it all is that if you do not take care of yourself, this isn't just a normal game where you could just do what you normally do after a game. You can't do that. You have to take precaution after a game like this. Their muscles are going to feel it. They're going to be sore than they would normally. So they have to take precautions so that they're ready to go for the next game. All I'm saying, this is not what they're used to. So yeah, it's going to make a difference. I've played in hot ass gyms and I was exhausted. It's the same. It's almost the same as if you go to Denver and you go play basketball. You over there dying because you're not used to that. Because the elevation, you can't breathe, and all of those things. I've done it. I've played in that environment, and it really does make a difference. That's not an excuse, but you have to prepare for that. You have to prepare so that you're good to go before and after. That is what I am saying. No excuses.
Yeah, no. The other thing they can do, and I don't know if people remember, but a few years back, a Fran McCaffrey coached Iowa team went out to the Palestra in Philly and played, and it was really hot in that gym, and the floor actually was wet from the humidity.
Yeah, I was nervous about that actually at Iowa today.
I didn't see any of that today, but when you're talking about an 80-degree gym and a lot of sweat, it's just natural that you're going to have some condensation. Here's the official box score. That just came in. So this is fresh off the press, as they say, for Iowa and FDU. Let's zoom in a little bit here on Iowa's part of the box score. So here are some of the numbers that you see scrolling across the bottom of your screen. Hannah Stolke goes 3 of 6, 7 of 16 from the foul line. Do we want to address that? That you can't miss 9 foul shots. I love what Hannah did in being aggressive. The fact she only got credited with 6 field goal attempts but took 16 free throws means she was being aggressive. And hey, she rebounded the ball 16 times. The one knock on her game was she wasn't making free throws, Cash.
Yeah. I mean, 16 rebounds is fantastic.
And half of those were of the offensive variety.
Yeah, exactly. That I love, but yeah, the missed free throws is, you can't have that.
Ava Hayden goes 11 of 16. And how about this? Perfect at the foul line. In fact, Ava Hayden is our player of the game. 29-7 with a pair of blocks as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they obviously, knock on wood, they don't win without Ava Hayden. We say that every game. But what did she do to help Iowa fight through this? Because it was really the start and a finish. The middle portion of this game was ugly. But what did Ava Hayden do to frustrate the Knights as much as she did?
I mean, Ava's been steady Eddie, I would say 90% of the season. I mean, I think she had like 1 or 2 games where she wasn't her best in that sense. But I think she's fighting down low. She's getting the positions that she needs to make her job easy to finish. And I think I've said this once or twice before, but Ava gets this kind of look in her eyes like, we are not losing. And I think the team sees it and understands it, because you see a concerted effort to get her the basketball. And I'm not saying why we weren't doing that before, but why we wasn't doing that before. But yeah, her energy, her leadership in the sense of give me the ball, in that aspect, I think trumps everything. She was phenomenal today. And I don't understand how you could see that stat line and not wait until the fourth quarter until they stop her. I don't care. Bring 2. You're gonna have to do something. She could have had 40 or 50 today. There's plenty of times we missed her because we turned the ball over, couldn't get it to her, whatever the case might be.
I don't want to phrase this question the correct way, but what can you say about Iowa's post-entry ability?
It's not their strong suit. I think the only person I feel confident in for the most part is Chit Chat. As far as like entry passes. I will say the other ones are hard. Hannah, yeah, all the other ones, sometimes they have great passes.
Yeah, Taylor has her moments, but then, man, she had a horrible one at the beginning of the third. Yes. Addie had a really good one, but then it feels like more often than not, they're not good. Yeah. And Kylie, I used to think was
pretty reliable. Terrible.
She makes horrible entry.
Oh. Between her and Deal, them two and their entry passes, my God, they're staring at the post player for like 50 seconds. Like, of course, everybody's going to know who you're throwing it to. Like, duh. But yeah, it's just, our entry passes are crazy.
Chit Chat Wright gave them 38.5 minutes, 9 points, 3 of 8. She made 2 quick shots early, Cash. Mm-hmm. What changed? She had 5 early, goes 4 like the final 17 minutes of this game. What changed?
Couldn't tell you. I don't know. I don't know if because she just wasn't aggressive to me. Like, she just was.
I agree. She was there at the start. She was the first.
Yeah, like, I have no idea. And I think that definitely is something that the coaches need to say to her, like, hey, we can't start hot and then just cool off. Like, we've got to stay aggressive. I don't care if you're 1 for 10. Like, I need her to be aggressive. She has to be aggressive, because if she's aggressive, then you never know what can happen, right? Like, I'm not saying she's going to score, but if she's aggressive, then she might be able to find open players. She might be able to, so many things open up on the court. And that's the only thing. Even what I was saying about Kylie, I'm not saying you got to, aggressive does not mean shoot all the time. It just means that you are being aggressive to try to find the best option. But if you're just there to be a passer, well, baby, I got other passers on the bench. So that's not helping me. But yeah, I mean, I know Chit Chat struggles with her confidence a little bit in general. So they just got to pump her back up and be like, no, listen, okay. Arguably, you are a second, third best player on this team. So I need it. So yeah.
Yeah, Taylor Stremlow, 2 of 5 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3, 4 points, 7 assists for Taylor. So that's positive. 3 turnovers. Kylie Feuerbach, 38 minutes played, had 11 rebounds. So credit her for crashing the glass so much. They were all on the defensive end.
That's new. I'll take that.
They were all on the defensive end.
That's all right.
But yes, they are 11 rebounds nonetheless. 0 of 6 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3. 3 assists, a pair of turnovers. Addie Deal, 1 of 5 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3. Journey Houston, 0 of 2 from the field. And Houston and Deal combined for 1 assist, 3 turnovers. How far can this team go if they don't get any production off the bench?
That depends on how well the starting 5 is playing.
So you think that the starting 5 can lead them?
If our starting 5 is playing to their best of their ability, we'll be all right. Right? Like I'm not like terrified, right? But if we play like we play today, our next game will be our last game.
I tend to agree. Here are the numbers at the as far as the team numbers. Just 2 lead changes, but FDU cut the lead to 1 at the end of that first half. So Iowa did lead start to finish in this game. But let's talk a little bit about the start of the game versus and the end of the game versus the middle. Kyle Spence, who's at the game, covering that game for our platform, he'll be in the press conference. He's probably in the press conference room right now talking to Coach Jan and a pair of players. But he sent me this text just before he signed off from press row. Iowa had an 8+ minute scoring drought, scored 15 points in the middle 24. 15 points in the middle 24 of the game. So, I mean, that's obviously concerning, but at the same time, you're like, well, they played pretty well in the first and fourth offensively. What schematically was different? Because it felt like Iowa just looked like they did in the first quarter. In the fourth, what was it that FDU was doing to make it so difficult, sandwiched between those 2 periods?
Number one, I'm always going to start defensively. Defensively, we allowed them way too many 3-pointers during that stretch. And with that, we became lackadaisical. Oh, we're up 16. All right. Kind of like we did against Illinois at home. We got real lax. We like, okay. And then because we get lax, we are not the team that's just able to turn it back on. Like, it takes us a second to like, oh, shoot. Like, we got to go. I don't think FDU was doing anything on the defensive side, in my opinion, that was like, oh my gosh, that was not the case. I think we were making terrible decisions. Number one, we were turning the ball over. We were not getting the ball to the right person. We were missing wide open shots. There was a few, like if you're going to miss wide open shots, you're going to go 1 for 13. I mean, nobody has to guard you at that point. We ain't got to do nothing.
I thought after that opening stretch where Iowa was really aggressive offensively, give FDU credit, but I also felt like Kachine, Iowa, it can be a natural thing, but it can't be in this tournament. It felt like Iowa kind of took their foot off the gas, up 20-5. And at that point, and then FDU, like it was and I was critical of Jan in our Discord. I thought Jan was slow to respond to the run. I mean, they go on a 14-0 run, and it was clear that it was that second unit featuring Deal and Houston that got him. And to me, a couple of threes go down, I'd be getting those starters back in there. This is postseason play.
8-0 run tops.
Yeah, and it ended up being 14, and they're right back in the game. I have an issue with the response time from Coach Jensen on timeout, sub, etc. But it was 3.
There was no timeout during that stretch?
I don't know that they did take it.
I don't think they took a timeout. I could be wrong, but I don't remember them taking one.
I hope that's not true. I'd have to go back and look at the play-by-play, but I sure hope that's not true.
I don't know. Either way, you got to sub those people out.
Yes, I agree. And I just thought it was a slow response. And once those threes start to go down, Kachine, FDU is a team that relies on the three-point shot. So you have one small stretch toward the beginning of the game where you're kind of lackadaisical, as you said. And now that hoop looks big the rest of the game, and I was struggling to play catch-up mentally against the three-point shot for a team that could have been buried at the end of that first quarter.
Correct. And what's funny is I'm gonna keep referencing Illinois. It's the same thing that happened where Illinois was missing all these shots. We were playing great defense. We got up big, and then we were like, oh, okay, they're not making them anyways. And then they start hitting, and then we can't guard nobody because now they're 10 for 10 because they're able to, the basket's the size of the ocean. And that's the thing. You cannot, it's like a ball. You got to stop it before it gains too much momentum. And I don't think coach-wise we did that. And I don't think players took that. And I do think one of the announcers made a very valid point, and this is something I talk about all the time. When we talk about young teams, who is the player that is going to step up and stop the bleeding? We don't have one. And that is what's separating us in certain situations, is we do not have that leader that's going to be like, hey, and it starts with you. It doesn't start with the team. In those type of situations, as a leader of the team, you have to pick up your intensity. You've got to pick up everything. Because now, once you're getting stopped, you're screaming, you're yelling, let's go. Everybody else has no choice but to follow in those scenarios. And that's what was needed. And we just don't have that. Everybody kind of clams up a little bit. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, okay, okay. And now you get tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter until you get to the point where now you're fighting for your life, literally.
Iowa was fighting for its life most of this game. After the early 22-5 lead was evaporated, Iowa fought the rest of this game. And I made the comment in the third quarter, man, it just looks like FDU's not that much worse than Iowa. Like, just when a team makes a run, Kachine, that's college basketball. But when a team keeps coming at you, and they're you fall down 8, now they're back to 2 or down to what? That tells me that team is, especially when you're playing on the road, that team is, at least today, right there with you. That's not a fluke. That's just really good basketball, and credit to FDU for fighting. You got to score more than 48 points. You got to be able to score somewhere other than the three-point arc. You heard me at the outset of this, Kachine. I believe everyone but 4 of FDU's points today came either in the paint, at the line, or from 3. So it's not like Iowa was forcing tough 2s. Right. What FDU was doing was scoring. Now, they were limited to 48, so it's not like Iowa played horrendous defense, but three-point defense has to be able to be shored up. Sheila says they need AC in there. I wouldn't disagree, but that's certainly not going to happen between now and Monday. Jackson says, I get it, it's hot with no AC, but they got to play better than this. Ascent 77 wants to know, is this possibly a bit of a hangover from the UCLA 50-point slugfest? I can't imagine that it is, Kachine. They've had a lot of time off. We heard all about
20. They was up 16 at one point.
Yeah.
So like that to me is not a hangover. That's you took your foot off the gas and then you almost got bit in your behind. That's what happened.
Robin says, is this the therapy session? I'll pay. Feel free to donate, Robin. We appreciate that. Peace, love, Jen. Yeah, 1 of 13 from the three-point line in comparison to FDU's 10 threes. Survive and advance in March. Shout out to Ava for the career high, and shout out to Hannah for her rebounding and defense. This is all about post play for Iowa. They've got to get some production from that bench. But yeah, to your point, Geneva, they don't win. Really, I don't know that they beat anybody that's playing in the tournament. I don't know that they beat anybody without their 2 post players, because right now they're not getting much you could say anything tonight from their guards. Chit Chat looked like she was going to have a big game, ended up with single digits. Taylor struggled. You're not getting anything from Addie. You're not getting anything offensively from Kylie. So
Hannah's got a nice little matchup next game.
We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about Virginia and Iowa. That should be.
Speaking of, I did tell y'all that I was nervous about FDU, and everybody laughed at me and was like, "I'm not worried."
When you say
I was
everybody,
like, hey,
you say everybody, you're talking about me. Yeah, I laughed at you. Okay, that's what you're talking about. You just say it. I mean, you don't have to say everybody with me. So
you were not the only one, Corey. You were not the only one. There was plenty of people in the chat who were very like.
I just say
okay.
this is going to sound really bad, and I know fans aren't going to want to hear this. FDU had no business being in this game.
Mm-hmm.
They had no business being in the game. Go back at FDU's resume. Okay. We talked about it on Selection Sunday. I did not publish like an individual video spotlighting this game, but go back and watch our Selection Sunday show. Go look at their resume. They lost against Purdue by 19, lost by 46 to Notre Dame, who is really good, lost by double digits to Rutgers, who's horrible, and they played nobody else. Those are their only high major games this year. So you can talk all you want about 30-4. They didn't prove anything in the non-conference when they had opportunities. This is not like Miami, Ohio, who didn't play anybody, so you really don't know. They played some teams and got waxed. So they had no business being in the game. But at the same time, they did win 30 games. You got to give them respect. They made threes today. But I think we can all agree Iowa's got to play a lot better to have success moving forward. Let's go to our phone line. We got a bunch of people lined up. Let's go to our 515-635-1601 lines first. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame with Kachine Alexander. Who's on the line?
Hi, I'm Rhonda from Tennessee.
Hi, Rhonda.
How are you all doing?
We're doing good. Welcome to the show. Thanks for calling in.
Oh, well, thank you. I have watched your show every game, huge fan. And I do want to say I screamed at least 15 times tonight, please put Addie down below Jada on the bench. But I do that a lot. I just wondered, do you guys think that with Chit Chat and Addie and Journey, that there were a little bit of maybe nerves playing on the big stage for the first time?
It's a good question. There's got to be some nerves, right? Even though it's in their home arena, Cash, there's got to be some nerves playing in your first NCAA tournament. I will say, for Addie's sake, this is going to fuel the narrative that I just have a vendetta against Addie Deal. It's not like Addie's been playing well. I think Journey, just by common sense standards, right, Cash, like it looked maybe like she was a little flustered from the moment or caught off guard by March.
Listen, the first game of for everybody, the first game of the NCAA tournament is a mind, a mental thing for everybody. I don't care who it is. One, if you are the lower seed, your season is on the line. This may be your last game. If you're the higher seed, you're just hoping not to get upset. You know what I'm saying? So that first game is always a mess. You're just trying to make it through.
I do think that the veterans, Kylie and Hannah specifically, they showed today that the heat didn't bother them. Kylie was everywhere. I know she didn't score and I could choke her at times, but she was everywhere. And Hannah is just like, whatever, it's next. And Hannah's just Hannah. But they both played, they didn't let the heat bother them.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. A motor, you're going to have a high motor in this. I thought the FDU had a high motor. That was one comment that was made on the Discord during the game, Kachine. I thought FDU had a better motor than Iowa did. And but, yeah, down the stretch, Ava and Hannah, the hustle, and that's reflected in numbers on the glass, especially the offensive rebounds. I mean, we brought that up with Hannah's 8 offensive rebounds. That's a massive number, and doesn't that reflect hustle?
It does.
Yeah.
Sure. Agreed.
By the way, Rhonda, you're rivaling Annie from Brooklyn, New York, for best accent on this show.
Oh, dear Lord. I went to Atlantic City a few years ago, and a waitress came up and tried to talk in a Southern accent and asked me what I wanted. And she goes, oh, my God, you have a Southern accent. She said, I pretend to have one because the customers tip more.
Well, hey,
that's
a unique one. I've never heard that kind of a story before, but No, we appreciate you calling in, and as
Thank
everybody
you.
said, survive in advance. As I tell everybody when they first call in, Rhonda, don't be a stranger to the show. You asked a great question. We appreciate you hanging on hold as well.
Thanks. You guys have a great night. Hopefully we have a good outcome Monday.
We'll talk to you Monday. Thanks, Rhonda.
Thank you.
Yes, you love the first-time callers, especially
I
those that
do.
watch the show for a long time. That's
Mhm.
great. So, Rhonda, thanks for calling in. All right, we're limited on time this evening. You heard Cash. She's hacking up a lung virtually. Hitman wants to know about Cash getting sick. Yes, she got the other flu.
Yes, I had flu A in December, and I have flu B now.
Yeah. So let's see, in May she'll have flu C.
Hey.
She'll be the start of a new strain. Let's not joke about that. DJ Doug.
Thank you.
Anyone else glad that Georgia lost? And does Virginia have any player with pretty eyes? Okay, there's some sarcasm there, given what Georgia's head coach said a couple of years ago about Gabby Marshall. But how impressed or not impressed were you with the Cavaliers in their first two games? Kachine, did you get to watch those games?
Yeah, I think Virginia is really just playing for the team and the culture. Coach Mox is really trying to change the culture there. And it seems like this team is buying in and trying to leave some lasting mark for, the next year. And really taking that into consideration. I mean, Kamara, she's great. Johnson, I watched her in high school, so I know a lot about her. But yeah, overall, I think they're just playing well. They got some great transfers. Smith from LSU, which is going to be Hannah's lovely matchup. Yeah, I don't think they're doing anything like fantastic. They're just believing, man. And at the end of the day, you need a little luck on your side when it comes to the NCAA tournament sometimes.
Sheila wants to know, what was it about FDU that worried you? I mean, I just gave you some indicators pregame that's why I kind of laughed at. I'm like, I'm not really that concerned. Was it more of what Iowa lacks or more of what FDU brings that made you worried?
So I have noticed that with FDU being a three-point shooting team, right, and also being a small team overall, that creates matchup problems in general. And all they have to do is start hitting. Because now people are in situations they're not normally in. Ava's in situations she's not learned. How many? Ava was literally camped out on the 3-point line today, playing defense, and she's not. And I'm not saying it's Ava's fault. I'm not saying that at all. But they are not used to those kinds of interactions in playing like essentially a 5-out scenario, right? So I think for that, when you are playing mid-majors like that, that's how they are able sometimes to get the upset because of those mismatches. And I think, like I said, all they had to do was start hitting, and that was my worry. And they like to shoot the three, so it works in their favor.
Sheila, thank you so much for the super chat. Doug, thank you as well. I got someone wondering how much will it take for you to stick around past your half-hour limit? No, you don't have to name it. You don't have to name
money?
it. Yeah, no, never mind. Just we are not. Although my good friend Mark Rogers, he'll do that sometimes. He'll say, "Hey, I'll stick around for another hour if we raise another $100." So.
Listen, I'll stick around if you guys start putting in.
Throw some
super chats up there for me to answer, then I'll.
Sheila,
Sheila was great.
Sheila's a great comment. And Katie, she's in our Discord. So, Katie, thank you. She adds a super chat. What are the keys to winning against Virginia beyond attitude and psychological readiness?
We have to treat Virginia like they're Michigan. And I'm saying that in the sense of defensively, we're going to have a game plan. And those games when we've played Michigan are the most locked in I have ever seen this team. And I feel like if we jump on them early, now Virginia is not going to go away. Okay. But at the same point in time, that first quarter cannot be a slugfest. we've got to get on them right away. We got to be in their face. I need Taylor. I need excuse my French, but I need bitchy Taylor. I need that Taylor. You know what I'm saying? Because that gives the other team a little doubt. Right now, they have all the confidence in the world that they're going to make it to the Sweet 16. And you've got to cut the head of the snake immediately. And I think, to me, that's really what matters. I do think that overall we should win, but we said that with FDU, right? So for me, that's what has to happen immediately in that case. Now, if you want to talk X's and O's, every time we need a bucket, we run a specific play, and it usually works 9 times out of 10. So if we need a bucket, just run the damn play. It doesn't need to be. She always runs it after a timeout, and it grinds my gears because I already know it's coming, right? But just run it during when you feel like you need a bucket. When you feel like you need a bucket, run it. It's okay. But it's nor here nor there. I don't. Yeah.
So you send me the text when you need to get off here, because we got a couple of people who threw in a super chat. Look at that, just VMS, just like super chat for cash. So pretty simple. But we're gonna give your voice a brief rest because we've got Kyle Spence from Carver-Hawkeye Arena with us, and if you need to refuel, feel free, Cash. I'm gonna mute you just in case.
Take me out because I'm a.
Okay, she's out. We're gonna bring Cash back in here in just a second. Kyle, live from Carver-Hawkeye Arena, following Iowa's 10-point victory over FAIRLEIGH Dickinson in the NCAA tournament. Kyle, welcome. Thank you for being here. You've logged a tough couple of days. You were back on the golf course yesterday, so congratulations on that. I know you're getting ready for U.S. Open qualifiers, but thank you for working the game today. This is not probably a result that a lot of people expected, although Cash was worried about FDU heading into it. So 1-point game at halftime. You sent me the stat at the end. I was curious what Jan had to say about that lull in the middle part of this game. They come out, they score 20 early, then they score 7 over the next 13 minutes, and then they kind of did the same thing second to third quarters, and then they explode for 20-plus points in the fourth. What did Jan say, if anything, about the inconsistency on that end?
Yeah, good to be with you, Corey. Just a very awesome experience and to be here for it. So yeah, they a lot of discussion. I mean, obviously, most of the questions are about that big stretch in the middle of the game where, kind of as you alluded to there, I sent you the 15 points in 23-46 stat. I mean, over half of basketball that they played against a 15 seed and scored 15 points. So Jan talked about, they had in the game plan a few different things that they wanted to get accomplished in that first few minutes. They wanted to get out to a great start. They wanted to punish FDU early, and try to, make them go away. But she thought that that middle section of the game, she thought they just made really, really poor reads. She said the ball stuck. She said she was screaming from the sidelines to get players to move the ball. She felt the guards were particularly timid. And she also said that, Ava, and she referenced this with Ava and Chit Chat in specific. She said Ava and Chit Chat need to realize, Ava, in her opinion, is a top 5 center in the country, and Chit Chat, she thinks, is the number 2 option on this team. And she said that those 2 players in particular really need to realize that because, Ava and Hannah got going, down low early in the game. And she said that Ava really stopped demanding the ball, and she would love to see Ava. She referenced Megan Gustafson as a great example of somebody that was really, really good down low, that really demanded the ball. I mean, she would get positioned down low, and when she was in a spot that she felt good, posting up before the guard through the entry feed, she would demand the ball, and she had no problem, yelling at the guards to get her the ball. And in a loud environment like this, where communication is particularly difficult at times, Ava really needed to step up and demand the ball. But most of the commentary was on the guards. She thought that they, generated a few clean looks, which they did, and they missed a lot of wide open shots. But she, the most interesting thing that I took from it actually was her comments on Chit Chat. She said that she called at least 6 different plays for Chit Chat during that kind of 20-plus minute span of basketball in the middle of the game, and Chit Chat deferred on all 6. She did not run the play as scheduled. She didn't take the shot as scheduled. Jan thought that she got a few clean looks from those plays that she just didn't take. So I thought that was interesting. She discussed, and I can't remember the exact teams, but Chit Chat last year when she was playing, she had 3 teammates transfer to other like Power 4, Big Ten type schools. And Chit Chat was the 4th option last year on her team. That's what Jan described her as. And she said that, in her opinion, in Jan's opinion, she really needs to consider herself the second option, whether you want to debate on Hannah or Ava. Jan's point was that, often when they call a play, there's a post read and then there's a guard read, right? So Hannah and Ava, whether they're the best players on the team, only one of them generally gets the ball, right? The guards can touch the ball several times, but generally speaking, when there's a post feed, one of the 2 posts gets it, right? So when they call a lot of their plays, which, obviously going by the stat sheet today, I mean, they took 48 shots and 13 of them are from 3. So they're not taking a lot of outside shots right now. There's a lot of those plays that are drawn up where the play is to get the ball into the post feed. And so if the post feed doesn't work out, if for whatever reason the ball doesn't get up on the rim, then Chit Chat's the next option, and she needs to consider herself that way. So I thought that was the most interesting commentary that she had about that segment. She said, again, over at least 6 plays, if not more, that she called for Chit Chat right, where Chit Chat just deferred basically and didn't finish the play as intended, wasn't aggressive enough, and didn't execute. So she said that's a conversation that she'll have to have leading into the second round against Virginia.
Let's bring Cash back in just for a second, because that's an interesting statement that, and I know you were tending your health when he made the comment, but I'll just paraphrase what Kyle said real quick, Cash, that Jan stated that during that slow stretch, she called at least 6 plays for Chit Chat, and she deferred every time and believes that there were good, clean looks in there at which she deferred. Is that a coach calling out her player?
I wouldn't say calling out. I think it's more in the sense of that's a conversation they're going to have with her, period. Like, she's got to be more aggressive and confident. And part of it is figuring out why, right? Like, you can't just say, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. Why did she defer? Does she feel like she's seeing something, or does she just not want to shoot it? Which one is it? Because then you can figure out how to tackle that scenario.
She alluded to it in the presser. It wasn't on that question, but it was a later question. She said it's really always a mystery with these teams when they get to the tournament, no matter how well they played throughout the season, how they're going to react when they get into the tournament, because at that point it is win or go home. And with it being in front of the home crowd, which we're going to talk about later, because there's some interesting comments by both coaches about that. But you just really never know how a team's going to react. She talked about the Gustafson and Kathleen Doyle team that went to the Elite 8 and said that they were down. I can't remember who they played. It was under 3 minutes to go, and they were down in the first round. And so she talked about that team and the experience she had with that. But she thought it was, I just kind of reading between the lines, I think she thought it was mostly a nerves thing, and just kind of like she hadn't been here before. She hadn't been in that type of a moment. So I don't know, Cash, you can take that how you want to, but that's kind of the direction Jan was going with it.
I see a couple of comments in the chat about Carver holding commencement ceremonies. So that's one reason to have AC. I know they don't play.
They do that.
Yeah. So I don't.
They said that the temps got into the mid 80s on the court in the fourth quarter. And I think somebody on the sidelines, I think Jan said this, someone on the sidelines registered 89 degrees on the floor.
So, I'm not going to continue to beat a dead horse. I don't quite understand why there's not AC. I don't care that it's a winter basketball arena. I don't understand why you wouldn't have that with as much money as these facilities have. I wouldn't think that'd be that massive of an investment. You'd hardly have to run it at all.
Yeah. Carver needs to be upgraded, period.
Right.
So like that, I'm assuming it's in the talks.
Did I tell you, Cash, what the plan was? I had somebody from athletics talk to me about this.
What's the plan?
No, they said that as far as that individual, I'm not going to say who it was, but as far as that individual is aware, the plan is for in the next year or so for them to upgrade the actual floor and change a couple things down by the floor. And then they're tentatively planning renovation sometime in the next 5 years.
That's a long time. But
It is a
okay.
long time, but at least there's some kind of a. So you said
I mean,
that
they did after I left. They did a renovation of all the locker rooms, which was definitely needed.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess, but
yeah.
Here's this question: could Iowa win it all? Well, I think that's a bit
No.
hypothetical, right? Yeah, not playing like this, and I think that's clear. They're not winning it all, regardless. So I think there's probably some sarcasm here, but let's talk about their chances of winning without their two freshmen playing well, Kyle, because you talked about guard play, but Journey and Addie struggled, and so then it puts so much pressure on your starting five. Not that they didn't have pressure as it was already, because it's not like Addie's been playing great, but Journey's been really consistent for a true freshman. She looked like the moment got the most of her a bit. Was there any comment from Jan about Journey Houston's game today?
Not necessarily about Journey. It was mostly just a coaching decision that she talked about with the minutes. I mean, as you guys probably know already, you've gone through the stat sheet. I mean, they got 25 out of 200 minutes we got 200 minutes total to find, and 25 of them came off the bench. I mean, that's a really, really low percentage of your minutes. And, Jan said, the plan was to rotate those two in a little bit more, but they got to that fourth quarter and in that third quarter when they were struggling and they just had no choice. I mean, she basically.
What do you mean the plan was to rotate them in? Like the pregame plan?
Yeah. They were trying to get them in more, but they just, I mean, Jan got to a point where she basically just said, I'm riding the upperclassmen and the players that have been there. I mean, she said Ava and the upperclassmen. And I was interested. I should have asked Jan this. Nobody really talked about Kylie, but I mean, she was a massive liability tonight. I mean, she would not pull the trigger either. She was very, very tentative. And defensively really went away in the middle of that game, which was kind of uncharacteristic of her. I thought she had a really nice start defensively the first 5 minutes, and then it was like, where did Kylie go? So yeah, I mean, there's just again, looking at the stat sheet too, like FDU played way more minutes off the bench than Iowa did. I mean, they were a deeper team by far than Iowa was today. Iowa didn't get anything from those two. They didn't get anything from Kylie. They got some contributions from Taylor, but it was really just down to those three. And that's just, that may be the biggest Achilles heel of the team, is they just don't have that second. I mean, especially on a game like today where the court's so hot. I mean, FDU, the FDU coach, who I didn't realize had as many wins. You probably knew this, Cash, but has 550 career wins. I mean, she's a very decorated coach, but she said that they were trying to rotate their pregame plan when they saw the temperature was to rotate in the post players every 2 minutes, which is not something Iowa could do.
So real quick, let me just comment on this real quick. I was fighting with one of our Discord members during the game because I made a comment about playing, like I said at the beginning of the third quarter, they came out, scored like 5 or 6 straight points, and I just said I'd be riding my starters the rest of this quarter to blow this team, like get rid of this team right now so that the fourth quarter feels easier. Well, you want to know what happened, Kyle? I'll tell you what happened in case you don't know. They didn't do that. Nope. Iowa proceeded to play Journey for 4 minutes, Deal for 2 minutes. Iowa scores 8 points in the third quarter, which let FAIRLEIGH Dickinson hang around. And what did Iowa do in the fourth quarter? What you just said. 10 minutes for Stolke, 10 minutes for Hayden, 10 minutes for Stremlow, 9.5 minutes for Feuerbach, 10 minutes for Chit Chat.
And by the way, got rid of all the advantage that they could have built up over Virginia, who played an overtime game in the heat just before them.
I'm not saying it's ideal, but I'm simply saying what they did in the fourth quarter was exactly what I wanted them to do in the third quarter. But when those starters weren't in the game tonight, this team struggled. And I don't usually pay too much attention to plus minus stats, but let me go look at plus minus for Iowa.
Addison Deal minus 19, Journey minus 17.
Yeah, this is as indicative of a plus minus stat I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that you're going to disagree with this. Look at everybody else. The starters, plus 19, plus 18, plus 17, plus 13, plus 19. Deal, minus 19. Houston, minus 17. Yeah. You simply can't defend.
FDU's bench is plus 33 as well.
Yeah, so scroll up to FDU for a second. I'm just saying, like, that's why I was calling for that. So anyways,
Jan also said too in that fourth quarter they had a timeout. I think it was like 6 or 7 minutes left to go in the game, which is where the game started to swing. I think it was like was it a 4-point game at that point? It was pretty close. And she said that Hannah kind of delivered the timeout message in that timeout, and was talking to the players in kind of groups, kind of 2 at a time, and kind of yelling at the upperclassmen to take over and put the team away. She was getting a little bit frustrated or feisty, I guess. And so Jan kind of took that cue and just said, "Yeah, you guys are going in for the rest of the game. We're not gonna mess around with this."
Give us an idea on the crowd, Kyle. I know you were talking about how silent it was during that low, but then how loud it got as Iowa started to build a lead in the back and forth. Just talk about that first round crowd in Carver.
Yeah, it was great at the end. Man, I mean, that run that they made to bring, come back close in that first half, and then the drought in the third quarter, it was quiet. It was not a loud arena. It got really good in the fourth quarter. Even before the run, I would say the crowd picked up the energy kind of right at the end of the third quarter, early fourth. But and that, I said this in the Discord for anybody that's in there, that the crowd pop towards the end of the game was as good as I've ever heard. There was talk about this, and we can hit this now just so I don't forget. Stephanie Gately, the FDU coach, said that when Jan went to shake her hand in the post-game line, they kind of paused and exchanged some words. And Coach Gately said that Jan said to her, the first thing that she said was, "This is why we have to get off neutral courts in the first 2 rounds." Which I thought was an interesting. I mean, I wonder what Jan meant by that. I know what Coach Gately meant by that. She meant that, I mean, she said this several times in the post game when it was addressed, was she said we likely would have stolen this on a neutral. They felt that they would have stolen this on a neutral court.
What was said?
Well, because we would have still had a bajillion fans there anyway.
Jan said to Coach Gately, quote, "This is why we have to get off neutral courts when the game ended."
Why is Jan? Wait, time out. Why is Jan saying that to the opposing coach?
I don't know. She didn't explain what Jan meant by it, but Coach Gately said that what she means by it is that they think they would have stolen the game. I don't know what Jan meant by that comment, but that was what she said that Jan said to her first thing in the handshake line. So I don't know if
we're missing there, because that seemed like why would you go up to the opposing coach after you just beat him and say, "Well, this is why."
Yeah, like, oh, we would have. If it was fair, we would have lost. Like, I don't know, and I don't know if that's
maybe what she meant by that is you guys would have gotten us if this wasn't not in Carver, and she's just giving the. That might be what she meant by that. But,
maybe, yeah, it could have been an AC comment. I don't know, but whatever she meant by that, I thought that was interesting. That was the first thing out of her mouth. And Coach Gately said, like, she thinks that we're in a position now with the women's game that we need to get to neutrals, because she said, and FDU is a great team that's an example of this, right? Their men's team beat Purdue on a neutral court as a 16 seed. And then her question, I guess, in the post game was, had FDU gone to Mackey as a 16 seed, would they have, would that game have played out the same way? And I think everybody's answer would be probably
the problem with what she's saying is this is all about money. And the fans aren't going to show up, but they will for Iowa.
Iowa will, other teams will not.
Places where fans will not travel. Kachine, this is true. Like, the men's neutrals aren't real widely traveled, but the women's would be absolute deserts. If you put Iowa, like, say you put this, Iowa's not a good example. If you put,
Michigan State or some, decent
Vanderbilt.
team.
No, put Vanderbilt versus an FDU.
Put Vanderbilt in Chicago or something.
Put them in Sacramento.
Yeah.
and let's see how many fans are at that game. Ain't nobody going to that game. All right. So I'm just saying, like, from a perspective of, would it have been more fair? Yeah, I guess. But you have to do this for the sake of the game, money, all that. It is what it is. So anyways, anything else for Kyle Kachine that you're curious about from the press conference with Jan?
Not really, Kyle. You did a great job of covering everything.
It was interesting, and they moved everything into the club room and had the March Madness set up, and they gave us a little bit, extended periods of time with both teams. So it was good. I was glad I stuck around for the FDU portion, because Coach Baylor was a really good listen.
We all know you have the old geriatric diet, but did you eat anything? Did they feed you?
I did not. I am currently trying to cut about 10 pounds from now until US Open locals. So I've got my numbers to follow. So nothing for me. I had a beef stick and a protein bar that I brought with me. That's all I get.
All right. Save the Chick-fil-A for me, I guess. So, all right. Folks, Kyle Spence live from Carver-Hawkeye Arena. You can follow him. Give us a shout out as it relates to where people can find you on social media.
Yep, Instagram and YouTube. Kyle Spence Golf is the handle. Be getting ready to do some outdoor teaching and online teaching here starting in April. Started already with the indoor classes and clinics and things like that. Got a facility in North Liberty that we do that at. So stuff's kind of getting ramped back up for the season, and then obviously we'll be doing a lot of competing in the next several months, all being well with the PT. So Kyle Spence Golf on Instagram and YouTube if anybody wants to find me.
Good deal. Thank you, Kyle, for your solid coverage as always, and we'll hopefully be talking about a win here coming up in a couple of days. Maybe we have a miracle win coming up tomorrow as well. So
I sure hope so. That would make things a lot more fun.
All right, safe travels back home.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
All right. Kachine wanted super chats. Katie's bringing it. Super chat to thank Cash for hanging in there. Hope you feel better soon. Absolutely. Thank you, Katie. And Hitman 36858. Are the players not playing as intended, or is the coach not putting up a good plan? Kylie needs 3-second rule. Chit chat needs to be more aggressive. Well, I think maybe we answered the back part of that question, because Kyle just said that what Jan is reporting is that she had 6 plays specifically lined up to try to get chit chat going, and she kept deferring. How would you answer the rest of that?
That's pretty much your answer. I mean, Kylie, yep. And chit chat, I think we've talked about that a few times. So, yeah, I think pretty much answers itself.
Thank you for that super chat. I don't know where Hitman's from, because is that the sign for euros? I'm assuming that's 5
That's
euros.
what it looks like, European.
All right. So I'd be curious to know where Hitman's typing in from. Billy, thank you for the super chat. Why don't we get offensive rebounds? Well, I'll tell you what. Hannah Stolke got offensive rebounds.
She got 8 of them bad boys by herself.
8. Yeah, I mean, the team had 14, but you're right. I mean, 8, nobody else had more than 2.
14 is a great number, man.
Well, when one player gets 8. So
exactly.
I guess you could make an argument that Ava needs to be. I think Ava can be a more dominant rebounder in general. Don't you?
Agree.
Like, what is it about Ava that
I think that'll get that comes with time. Ava, she spends a lot of energy. So I think that'll come with time.
All right. We've got some people waiting on hold to talk to Kachine. So we're going to put our caller on a brief hold. We'll come right back to him. We got Christy, who's been waiting on hold for quite some time. Christy, welcome back. Thank you for being here.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I got a little cold too, Kachine, so I'm down in the trenches with you. So I feel ya. But I just have 2 quick things, because I know there's other people who want to talk. One, the passing is the same problem we had at the beginning of the year. I don't know, Corey, if you remember, but I called in several times at the beginning of the year and said, our passing is not good. It's just a beat behind. And then we got into like one game where I called in, I'm like, best passing of the season. Looks like we're doing better. And then it just went back to what it was before. And it's not that the read of the pass is bad, it's that the timing of the pass is bad. It's just always like a beat behind where it needs to be. They just take too long to get it down there. So they're telegraphing they're going to do the pass. If you're going to pass it, just make the decision and fire it as fast as you can. Like if you wait, everybody's going to collapse on the ball. So to me, that's, I don't know, Cash, if you agree.
Definitely. I think I said that a little bit earlier, and I said that I think I was specifically talking about Kylie at the time when I said that she's just staring. It's like 50 seconds goes by while she's still trying to make this pass. Well, yeah, everybody in the gym now knows you're going to pass it. So what makes you not think that somebody's going to come and try to steal the pass? So I agree with you.
And then this was something I was going to say, but since it was just addressed, it's not really a point anymore. But I noticed there was, sorry, I noticed that
sounded rough.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, They ran this play for Chit, and she ends up at the free throw line and makes a free throw, and it's a great little play. And I said to in the Discord, why don't they just keep running that play? It's very effective. They've run it before. I've seen this play before. Basically, she goes down off a screen, they pass it in, then they pass it back out to her at the top as she's coming back off the screen. And she hits that shot almost every time. And I don't understand why they just don't keep running it, but maybe they did. Like right, maybe they
that
did.
was one of the 6 plays that Coach was talking about.
Because it's so effective. She gets open almost every time and she hits it every time.
I'm a firm believer that, like, as a coach, like, if I run a play and it works flawlessly, I'm running it again. I'm gonna run it till you stop it. And then at that point, then I'll break away from it and I'll come back to it later. But I don't know if we do that often. We don't run plays back to back like that. And I said it in the Discord. I'm like, why don't we just run it again? Run the exact same play again. You run it till the wheels fall off of it.
Yeah, I go back to one of my favorite Hayden Fry-isms. And I know a lot of people who are watching that watch our football show with Coach Patterson. They've heard this before, and it's going to bring a smile to their face. But it's milk that cow till she's dry. And I'd say milk that cow till she's bone dry. Because if the play's there, what was it? I was watching a men's game over the last couple of days, and I believe, I've got the coach on the tip of my tongue. Was it Mark Few? It was Mark Few at Gonzaga, and that's what they did. Was it 2 nights ago or was it last night? They won against Kennesaw State in a tight one, but he ran the same play maybe a dozen times, and it worked, I think, like almost every time. Keep running it. Until they stop it. And then if you good coaches, great coaches, Kachine, they have plays to run off of that action. It's just the same concepts as you have with football, right? It's the same concepts. So yeah, I don't disagree, Christine. I'm not a X's and O's guy, but that's simple logic.
Yeah. Last comment. I know I said 2, but just real quick, I just want to give you a thank you for the Discord again, because those of us who watched FIBA basketball really enjoyed having a place to talk about it. I know we hijacked the women's basketball chat and we used it for FIBA, but I appreciated it and I really enjoyed it. And so thank you for setting that up for us.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here, Christy. Feel better.
All right. Go Hawks.
Here, go Hawks. All right. Catherine is in the chat. Hit that like, the thumbs up. Give a 5-star rating. Over 600 viewing, only 114 likes. Please change that, folks. Please hit the like button. Kachine, hit the like.
Hit the like.
If
you're on your phone, swipe away the chat. The like button will come up.
Yes. All right, we got a super chat. No, I guess I ran through that super chat. Okay, we're gonna try to hit these callers. We've got Tim, who is been standing.
We've been waiting for Tim. Go ahead, Tim.
Tim, welcome, Tim.
That was bad. But the good thing is we won the first and fourth quarter, so it's like, okay, we won the quarters that you need to win. But I just felt like when we weren't hitting shots, we lost those blue-collar plays that Jen always talk about. We let them win those 50-50 balls, and that's kind of what kept them in the game and getting extra shots and things like that, and that just can't happen. And I felt like for some odd reason, we just it's like we started off so good, but I kind of understood it because we were just going into Ava, and then when your guard's not hitting shots or not getting shots up, eventually FDU just started to close down on the paint and force and make those touches harder. And that's kind of where I felt our offense went stagnant at, because after a while, they're not just going to keep on respecting our guards who aren't shooting or not missing shots or not even taking the shots and letting Ava cook. So I think that's where our offense kind of went bad at, and we never got back into the way of our guards hitting shots.
Yeah, and I don't know if Chit Chat's not willing to be the aggressor there on the offensive end without Taylor, and Taylor's not some break it down type, but at least she's looking to shoot. She's that's what she is. They have nothing as far as like Taylor is not a score first guard. She can score in certain settings, can make open threes, But, man, they are very offensively challenged if Chit Chat's not aggressive. And that's why if I'm Jan, I've never been in this position where you're coaching a team, especially March Madness, Kachine. But if I'm Jan, to me it makes sense this point in the year, regardless of Chit Chat's personality, I'd be coming at her hard, all right? So whether it's tonight, tomorrow morning, I'd be coming at her hard. There's no more chat, we love you. There's no more nice Jan. Right now, I need aggressive Jan. I need Chit Chat. We need you to get your butt in gear because you got to recognize how good you freaking are, right? Like that's how I know nothing about coaching. But to me, that's the only thing that can jumpstart that mindset at this point in the year, Cash. And it may not work, right? It may fail, but either it's going to work or it's going to fail. I don't think there's time to try to play that good cop thing with Chit Chat right. She's got to know how much, not she's hurting the team, but how much she can give the team, and you're freaking angry because she ain't doing it. Is that fair or no? Why? Tell me why it's not fair. Don't be looking at me. You let me go through that whole rant, and then you shake your head.
Yes, I did.
Go right ahead.
Listen,
And tell me why.
I let you get out your entire thought.
Great. Go ahead.
You were very passionate about it. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. All I'm saying is every player is different. And if Chit Chat doesn't respond to that kind of coaching, she's only going to be worse. So it depends on the player. And that, like, I was a player where you needed to do that. You had to. I was the player where in order for me to get me, if let's say I was in a funk, tell me somebody doesn't think I could do something. Now I'm out there proving everybody wrong. Like I was that person, right? So like that was my motivation. Every player has whatever their internal motivation is. So whatever hers is what you need to tap into. I don't know what it is because I don't know her. But I only know Hannah's because I feel like, we've watched her play for years. I haven't watched Chit Chat, but just this season. So, but whatever it is, you just have to do that. If it's confidence, well, how does she naturally gain confidence? Because she's had it at some times during the season. So we need to figure out how to get ourselves back to that. It just depends on the player. Because if you do it the wrong way, she is going to clam up. Now she's going to feel like the pressure is too much. And now you're going to have a whole nother issue. So it just depends on who she is and how she responds to motivation. Honestly.
I guess the reason why I approached it, I understand where you're coming from. The reason I explain it that way is because I'm like, well, she has not to this point this season, like made herself the guard, and she didn't need to.
She's had moments or certain games where we're like, okay.
Well, and she never really needed to be the guard scoring early because they had Taylor's 3-point shooting, but now they have not had assertive. This is my team, Chit Chat right since Taylor went down. That's why I'm like, I don't want to say you're on your last breath, but I just am like, do or die now anyways. So you're right. If she doesn't respond to that, fine.
Yeah, it depends on the player, but you definitely there has to be a conversation. One way or the other, there has to be a conversation. There has to be some film. There has to be a discussion of that. Like I said, I would approach it in the sense of like, okay, I call 6 plays. So she knows I call 6 plays because you got to run the play. So why did you defer 6 times? I don't know maybe she did 5. I don't know. You'd have to go back and figure it out. But make sure you come with, evidence, right? Okay, cool. We're going to go through these. What are you looking at? Then you're going to get an understanding of where it's coming from. Is she just thinking like, oh, I would rather get it to so-and-so in this? Okay, yeah, no. If I call a play for you, the only reason why you don't shoot is because you absolutely have no shot whatsoever. So that's and sometimes it takes a player understanding that it's okay to make mistakes. I don't care. I'm calling the play because I think you have the best chance at making the basket. Just because you defer to somebody else don't mean that they're the better option. So I'm calling it for you. Trust me that I know that you have the better option in this play. So I think those kind of conversations is probably what Chit Chat is. I don't think based off of her personality that she's a rah in your face kind of needs that kind of coach. I don't think so at all. I don't think that's going to go in her benefit, but I could be wrong. But that's how I would approach it off the bat, because we got to figure out where your mindset is in this. And then I can figure out as a coach, how do I get you to do what I want you to do at the end of the day?
Tim, I didn't mean to segue away from your comments, but you talked about guards. So anything else, Tim?
I will say this next game, we're gonna need to hit shots because Virginia they usually switch from man in their 2-3, but they start in their 2-3, and I doubt they're gonna switch out of their 2-3 unless Ava comes out the game for a bit or get into foul trouble. So we're gonna have to hit shots, or they're just gonna clog us in there, and we're gonna need Hannah to be the 4 instead of having Ava be the 4 and 5. Because I think that's what makes Ava so impressive, that she's literally the 4 and 5.
You know what I would say? Tim, sorry to cut you off. But you know what I would say? You're absolutely right about the 2-3. And this is a conversation for whoever the post coach is. I don't know if they do it like all post or if they do like a 4-5, whatever. But whoever is coaching the 4s, that needs to be a conversation. They are going to play us in zone, right? That's a pretty given, right? So this is your journey and Hannah for you to have a bajillion rebounds. You want to know why? It is very hard to box out in the zone. It's very hard because you don't have a specific person. You have an area. So with the athletic ability of Hannah and with Journey, heck, let's throw Stremlo in there, right? In that sense, you should be able to have a field day on the boards. Get them out of the zone. If you don't want to play against the zone, easiest way to do that is to shoot the 3 well or rebound the hell out of the basketball. Either one of those options, you're going to have to get them out the zone.
Tim, we appreciate your call. Always enjoy talking hoops with you, and we'll plan on talking to you Monday.
No problem. Get well soon, Cash. Have a good day.
Thanks, Tim.
Good stuff. All right. I see a couple of comments.
X and O's conversation when Tim calls in. I love that.
We've had some great calls today. I mean, not that they're always great, but we've had some really good callers today. Bob Hoffman, one of our premium members. Thank you, Bob. He says team played as crappy as Cash feels. Correct, Kachine? Just like Cash, they did win. They still win. All Cash does is win. So Sheila, Corey, can you send me another invite to Discord? I thought you were in the Discord. She says she accidentally signed out. I will get in touch with you, Sheila. We'll make sure you get back in because we want to make sure you have access to that. Get Sheila back in Discord. All right. I am writing that note right now. Someone else asked about the Discord, and they want to know, Dylan wants to know, how do you get into the Discord? Instructions scrolling across the bottom of your screen. We have links to Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. If you have none of those services, you want to pay by credit card, click the PayPal link. We have people that do that. Click the PayPal link. You can use your credit card there without a PayPal account. $5 a month or $50 to get in for an entire year. Constant conversation. We even did a voice halftime show between me and Kyle today. So it's always a fun time. Get over to Discord and include your email address on your comments. When you donate, make sure it says Discord, and if you can, include that email address so we can expedite the process. Sarah, hey, Cash and Corey, everyone, nail-biting win. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate you being here. Mark, put Journey in at the 3 for what? She played horribly today. Stop capping for Journey. Cash, you just capping for Journey. I'm sorry. I didn't get to do that voice today yet, and I kind of wanted to bring it out. Uncle Rico says, "Do you think every high school gym has AC?"
I ain't never played in no high school gym during the season where it wasn't no AC. I'm sorry. I don't live in those kind of parts.
Nobody cares. This is a Big Ten arena, Uncle Rico. You're really going to sit here and act like this is apples to apples? Yes. We understand some of the players may have played in hot environments before, but if that's not the whole premise of the conversation. The whole premise of the conversation is this is a how many $1 million, $1 billion facility. You ought to be able to afford AC. That's all I'm saying. Jerry says, Cash, why are we constantly passing up wide open shots after beating them down the floor? Wait till everybody is back, including their opponents, and then struggle to get the ball into the paint.
Because we're not being aggressive. Everybody's afraid to make a bad decision.
Yes, a sense trying to raise some cash for Cash. So, folks, James says, every pound that Kyle loses, Corey can find for him. Every pound that, what does this mean? I can find every pound that Kyle
I feel
loses.
like he's trying to call you fat.
He's calling me fat?
I feel like that's what he's trying to do.
Okay. All right. Fine. Whatever. I got that. Hey, nobody calling me fat. It's not going to offend me. So, I want you to read this comment. Cash, can you read this to our viewers? Andrew Hartz.
By my, I'm in my B. I'm by B and.
Hey, you did that really well. I can tell you've done
Thank
ad-libbing,
you.
or they call mad-libbing with your daughter before. She's probably on her way. So.
Everything is like rhyming. That don't make no sense. But yeah.
Hey, Hitman's from the UK, so we appreciate Hitman.
Oh, nice.
So that's awesome. And all right, we've got Katie reminding everybody, hit that like button. I've already said that several times, but until you do it, I'm going to keep saying it. MB Cards fan should be extra concerned with Strimlow's play after this one. Her decision-making was far worse than it has been lately. Should we be concerned heading into that game against Virginia if you're a Strimlow follower?
No, I don't. I've never been the type to, because somebody has a bad game, that I'm like, oh my God, they're going to revert back. Like, no, I've never been that. I feel like just like we were waiting and we gave her time in regards to she had to pile up good games to get to a point where we felt like she had transitioned. The same thing goes for if you have a bad game, in my opinion. You got to have a few of them for me to start to be worried.
Andrew Roberts, was there a reason why Layla, Tegan, and Callie weren't used? Well, if you go, I mean, the Layla conversation.
Layla, that's a given. Ava had 29 points.
Yes, but
she's playing majority of the time, and then from there, what ends up happening is what we know, right?
Well,
you have Hannah moving to the 5 and Journey coming in at the 4.
But that hasn't been what's happened this year. Always, they have played Layla.
No, I'm assuming I'm talking about this game, not like.
Yeah.
But that's what happens.
FDU, everybody can shoot, basically, right? I mean, I don't know if did their big shoot. I guess I'd have to go back and look. Yeah, everybody but Owusu shot a 3. So you got to be. I
don't think this is a Layla game, anyways.
You got to be able to guard the 3-point arc. There's one possibility as far as a reason. Let's go to our phone line. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame with Kachine Alexander. Who's on the line? Hello, welcome.
Beep.
I think it's that issue. All right, We'll go to our next caller. We'll try to get the other caller back on the line. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame with Cash Money. Who's on the line?
This is Paul. Can you hear me?
We got you, Paul. Paul, we got you.
This is Paul. Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Let me mute you.
All right.
So a couple things that you guys have been talking about regarding the inlet passes to the bigs.
Yes.
I mean, you can look at go to high school games. Every game you go to, you're going to get frustrated because you're going to see somebody wide open, and you're going to see a point guard or a guard out there holding the ball, staring like they're deer in the headlight. And it's frustrating, but, like Cash has said, I think it's part of his aggressiveness and worrying about making a mistake. I think it's, rhythm and, just being ahead of the play. And that's the difference between Caitlin Clark and normal college girls basketball players. Caitlin, you'd see somebody wide open and you'd look back at her and you'd see the ball on its way to that person. They're just not that good at it right now. And I also don't think that they swing the ball enough from side to side. I think they dribble the ball down court and they bring it to a point where they're looking at Ava, and a lot of times they pick their damn dribble up, for God's sake, before they make the pass. And, that's discouraging too. But it's growing pains as far as I'm concerned. My question for Cash is, it seems like every time, even today, where they were staying in the game hitting threes, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I saw. So and like when we got beat by UCLA, they were killing us from 3-point line. And it seems like we're playing man to man, so we're cheating on the weak side instead of getting out and really getting in the face of all the 3-point shooters. It's like we're more worried about protecting the lane than we are about the people shooting threes. And we've got Anna and Ava in the lane. I don't see where we get beat by people killing us in the lane. It seems like they're always killing us from the 3-point line. So that my question to Cash is, am I seeing this correctly, or is there something else I'm missing here?
Well, I think UCLA is probably not a good you say it's not good. I'm only saying that because you don't have a choice when you have 6-7 in the paint. You have to choose. You're even giving up easy twos, or you're giving up long threes. That's the only option you have with UCLA, and hope that they're not hitting from the outside because of how dominant she is in the post. So you really got to pick your poison there. In regards to like a team like we were facing today, I think our closeouts get really lackadaisical. And if we are not moving on the flight of the ball, you're going to be late, period. Doesn't matter if you're in the paint or outside the paint. If you are not moving when that ball is in the air, you're going to arrive late. And that is you just being dialed in and locked in to what's going on. I don't think it's because they're worried about getting beat. I don't think it's that. I think they're late in general, because your closeout is probably the most important piece to the beginning of a defensive assignment. So yeah. And like I said before, sometimes once that ball goes through the hoop a few times, it doesn't matter what you throw up there. They feel like it's going to go in. Doesn't matter how close you are to them at that point. But you don't want to get to that point. That's the thing. And we have to clean up our lackadaisicalness of taking our foot off the gas. And that is part of that is being young.
I've never heard of the word lackadaisicalness. That's
you know what? I'm making up stuff because I don't know what the hell we be doing out there. Go ahead.
Hey, they're making up ways to win games. I mean, 58-48 against FAIRLEIGH Dickinson.
And I'm making up ways to describe it.
All right, let's go back and see if we got our other caller on the phone line. Caller, do we have you with Cash here?
Yeah, this is John from North Kachine.
Hey, John.
Hey, just calling little Cash to get better soon. And
Great
game. Great game. I mean, it was just probably one of the best games I've ever watched.
Okay. All right. Well, hey,
our Hawkeye girls were flying around. They were doing good. They did. You know how they are. I mean, they've been doing this all year long. I don't think anybody should be surprised that none of them can pass.
So we're just
going to have to hope.
Were you being
sarcastic
going to have to
hope when the team that beat Michigan twice is going to show up against Virginia?
John, were you being sarcastic when you said that it's the best game you've ever seen?
Yeah. It was the first little bit was awesome. I said, "Oh boy, the girls come to play tonight." And then they just fell off a cliff, and we know how they do. I mean, they get in that funk, and they have a heck of a time getting out of it until they get fourth quarter, and then they get worried they might actually lose, and then they start playing again.
Kachine, would you agree with that? Would you agree with John's assessment as to what happened today?
I'm trying to figure out if he's serious or not. Like what, John? Do you think it was like a good game? Like you meant that?
He does not.
No. I thought it was god awful.
Oh, okay. Because you had me there a second, John.
Yeah.
I was saying, whoa.
I was just my attempt at trying to be, the light in the darkness. That's all I was trying to be. Okay. But yeah, we all saw it. I mean, it was on ESPN. It was on ESPN, for crying out loud. I'm sure a million people saw it.
Oh yeah.
All right. It was interesting.
That's how this team's been all year.
Blow it up and down.
They've had games like that. This is true.
Yep.
Yeah. So all we can do at this point in the season is hope that Michigan, the team that beat Michigan twice, that they show up. That's all we can hope for. If they do, we can beat Virginia easy.
You know what's crazy is I got to give Corey a little props because I remember a while ago. It was after the whole Northwestern Indiana debacle. And Corey has suggested that he asked me, do I think that we play down to our competition? Do you remember that conversation?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember it.
And
they do.
They do.
I think Corey had something going with that statement. I think he
definitely
was on top of it.
And honestly, you know what? The men do the same thing. And I think the men do it for a slightly different reason. Theirs is they really just lack talent in a lot of places. So it's like they can't blow teams out. Like Clemson, they had them on the ropes, but they just couldn't get the lead above 12 for a long part. And then Clemson comes back. With the Iowa women, it's a little bit different. It seems to be a different reason every night. I can't quite pinpoint it, but no, I've felt that for a while that they played down the competition.
Yeah.
And then when they start trying to turn it around, that's when they get even worse. The harder they try, the worse they get.
How about this stat, though? I mentioned this earlier, but I can't get over the stat. Iowa scores 20 points in the first 6:56. They scored 7 points in the next 13:04. That's almost a quarter and a half. They scored 7 points, and yet they still
awful to watch.
Still had a lead at halftime.
That's because they built up such a lead.
All right, John. John, we appreciate you calling in, sir. Always enjoy hearing from you, and especially from North Kachine.
All right. And then let's beat Virginia on Monday and
we'll
go Hawks.
Go Hawks, absolutely. Hey,
do we have a game time for Monday?
We do not yet. TBA.
Okay.
We'll get that tomorrow.
Okay.
We did not hear John's device transcribing, and you know why?
Why?
I don't know, but I was going to say it might be. I was going to say it might have been because we couldn't hear his device for a while, and it was probably
yeah.
All right. Cash has stayed with us a lot longer than she told us she would, and the calls keep coming in. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to try to run through quick fire here, including our callers, and we'll try to wrap this show up. Steve says lackadaisical is a word. First of all, you don't spell it lackadaisical, but I didn't say lackadaisical wasn't a word. I said lackadaisicalness. But fair enough.
Lackadaisical is a word.
Dave Ross says, is John still Kachine, is Jan too afraid of people not liking her? Could that be a flaw in the Jan Jensen personality / coaching? Is that possible? I'm just asking the question because Dave asked it.
I don't know. I don't think she doesn't strike me as a person who doesn't want to be liked, right? Like that's like, oh, I don't think it's that. I think she's a very politically correct person for the most part, in general. And she was always Coach Luter's mouthpiece for a decade. So she's still going to have that. That's just kind of who she is by nature.
Andrew says, do you think if the men had to play in the heat at Carver, that the renovation discussion donors would get it done faster 5 years from now? I don't know why would that make a difference? There's so much. The men
ain't nothing. So the men was something that might be different.
I don't know if this is an accusation, a question of discrimination. The women have a lot more support right now.
They got more pull than the men right now.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, before we go to our next caller, Big Grove's big play of the game, Ava Heiden's field goal plus the foul. They were, let's see, FDU, this is a point early in the fourth quarter where FDU had the lead, back to 4. The foul and the field goal put them back up 7. It was just that continued back and forth, which is usually what happens with two good teams. We didn't necessarily expect that, but that was a big and one, Cash. And she made all her free throws tonight, 7-7.
Yes, she did.
So Ava Heiden gets Big Grove's big play of the game. She also got our player of the game award, 29 points, 11 of 16 from the field. Let's go back to our phone line. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame with Kachine Alexander. Who's on the line?
Evening, guys. This is Matt in Knoxville. Thanks for taking the call. Just first want to make sure, unlike me, that I hope that game didn't take off a year or two from Coach's life there. And I mean, she's already run it a little bit.
We need her Monday.
Anyway,
so, we need her Monday, so hopefully it didn't take off that much. Yeah, no, I agree.
All right, I'll try to go quick as per your request. First and foremost, I got real sick and tired from the commentary crew about the youth of the team being a big factor and why they struggled. I know it probably was a factor, but in my opinion, given what I've seen this year, I don't think that's an excuse for struggling as much as they did. And I also want to say, thank goodness the last few years, that Coach Jansen's focus was on defense and rebounding. And that's pretty much one of the biggest reasons we won this game and held on. So I'll go ahead and let you get off and let you guys make your comments. And the last thing I'll say is we better step it up, because no way we can play like that and beat Virginia. So thank you very much and have a good night, guys.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you calling in. Good call.
Tennessee been coming in strong tonight. We got Knoxville. I don't know where the other lady was from. She just said Tennessee, but
Time out. He's not calling. He ain't calling from. This shows you how not native you are to Iowa. He's calling from Knoxville, Iowa. I knew that was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. Knoxville, Tennessee. I almost.
You know what? Whatever. I don't even know where Knoxville, Iowa is, but
Knoxville, Iowa. Knoxville, Iowa is a decent sized town.
Where?
Iowa, 7,500 people in Knoxville.
Where is it?
It is
close to
South Central. So you're trying to think along I-80. There's like Newton, Grinnell. Do you know that area of I-80? So you got like Iowa City, then you have like Williamsburg, you have Grinnell, you have Newton, then you have like Colfax, you have Des Moines. Do you know any of that? Do you know any of those towns?
Des Moines, I know. Yes.
Okay, well,
Davenport?
Yeah, it's not that far from Des Moines. It's like 35, 40 minutes from Des Moines. Davenport. Okay. We go from Des Moines to Davenport. Nothing in between. There's nothing in between Des Moines and Davenport.
Listen, I was going to ask you, if I'm leaving Iowa City, where do I have to go? And I'd have been like, okay. Because, I've been to the bigger places in Iowa, so, it's fine.
I don't know
Knoxville, Iowa.
Knoxville does have races, some pretty famous Iowa races. Don't ask me what kind. I believe. Say it again.
Are we racing horses? What are we racing?
No, like dirt track. Like I don't.
Like with the
stock car race. Maybe they are stock cars. They have some big races. Somebody who goes to the races down in Knoxville or competes at the races, let me know what they are. Let's go to Lemansky, who's clearly a man who does dirt track racing.
Lemansky, I'm so sorry.
Welcome.
I didn't know Knoxville was in Iowa. My bad.
Corey, thanks for taking my call. Cash, please get better. Please. We need you.
I'm going to get better, I promise.
I was watching this game, and of course, the Discord is pretty lively today. Corey, you'll be happy. Somebody said that I think I'm right 1,000% of the time, so you're not the only one that takes an arrow to the head.
Well, you're not. Maybe you're not right 1,000%, but maybe 900%. I don't know.
Cash, you said you apologize for not knowing where these Iowa towns are. I was born in Clarion, Iowa, which is pretty close to Ames. But you know what? I can't figure out where the hell that town is half the time. Is that southwest of Grinnell? I don't know where the hell it is.
Clarion is not that close to Ames. Clarion's a good hour from Ames. You know that, Lemansky.
Lemansky, as a person close to me has said, I was just in Iowa to hoop. Okay? I don't know about none of that stuff.
Oh, that's how you, is that how you feel? Is that how you really feel?
I was just there to hoop. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Now, I know specific places, the Drake relays. I was there for specific situations.
Hey, but Cards fans saying the Knoxville Nationals are huge.
I'm going to go Google that because I don't know what it is.
Cash, you owe us no apology because I was born in Iowa. I don't know where the hell Ames is. I never ever need to go there. I don't know why people live there. You know?
Listen,
no apology.
I understand. I understand. Trust me.
I'm looking at this right now.
What you got, Lemansky? I'm sorry. What you got?
No, I'll try to be quick here. You're not feeling good. I want to go to a phrase calling impose your will. You got to impose your will in athletics.
Yes, you do.
The first person I think about is Michael Jordan, who punched Steve Kerr at practice. That's imposing your will. I mean, other things too, but the second thing is probably Kachine Alexander rebounding at her height is probably the second example of imposing your will. And then Corey Braddock talking about the Dallas Mavericks during a college show was imposing your will. So those are the
he said Corey Braddock. I'm like, hey, he's gonna compliment my balling game, but he's never seen me ball. I wasn't that bad. Hey, Lemansky, I wasn't that bad, but I would have been embarrassed if you had brought it up because that would have been, first of all, odd that you would have known if I was a good baller or not, and second off, you can't put me in the same conversation of any of what you just said. So
I apologize for taking so long because this was a tough day. But in the imposing your will philosophy, Cash, when you look at how often Michael Jordan went to the free throw line, 23 of our free throw attempts were Ava and Hannah. That means a lot to me because there's the two players that are posing their will. Otherwise, the entire rest of who played today did 6 free throws. So this team, and I'll go just to Corey. So we lose our next game, Corey.
Yep.
What do you think of this season? I'm very interested in your analysis.
It depends on how they lose. Okay. Honestly, I do. I hate to put a whole season on how they win play, but they just lost a postseason game by 50. So I say, if we leave the postseason saying that their 2 tournament losses came in landslides, and first of all, if one of the landslide losses is to Virginia, a 10 seed, it's not I'm not going to say it's some failure of a season, but boy, it is a very, very disappointing month of March. Very disappointing. I'd like to think that there's really no way for Iowa to undo the stretch of being in the top 10, the top 15. Like, that is on the resume. So much credit goes to the girls who have played through injury with Taylor McCabe and Emily Rodriguez. But at the same time, you got to show up in March. March means a lot. And they got to win this next game for me to say, without question, successful season. And yes, that's also weighing expectations that have been built here now. They got to win this next game, get to the Sweet 16 for me to be able to say this has been a successful season without question. If they lose, even in close fashion, I think we're weighing it. I think we're having that conversation in 2 days.
Cash, same question.
They lose on Monday. It's an early exit. And then a bad taste in your mouth to end the season because at least the Sweet 16. But I think with all of the kind of to Corey's take that with all of the injuries and craziness that had happened this season in general, I think that overall they did have a successful season overall, especially finishing second, making it to the Big Ten championship, things like that. Those can't be, taken for granted, but we got to hop in the portal because we can't be doing this next year. So.
Corey, I want to validate one of your comments that you've beaten the drum a little bit from time to time, and your comment was passing the baton versus keeping the starters in is how I put it under an umbrella. What's the trade-off? And what's confusing to me a little bit is Chit Chat plays way too many minutes because she's our best outside shooter and she needs her legs, and yet watch her play defense, watch her around the perimeter on offense, all those minutes. Jan still plays her. To me, that's be my number one concern about who we're playing too much, and everybody else there.
The problem is they don't have anybody. You know this. They don't really have. You're going to play Addy Deal more minutes instead of Chit Chat. Who are you going to play?
I know. Yeah, you'd have to.
Unless you
give her
go
a blow.
Callie. Unless you just want to give 5 minutes to Callie, which I'm in favor of, but I don't. Do those 5 minutes account for what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're exactly right. But you know what my point is.
Oh, I know what your point is. They need her legs. They need her legs.
Well, I mean, I just think,
especially this time of year.
I just think when you like this pass the baton philosophy in today's game, you're kind of having your cake and eat it too, and you're confusing your general philosophy. Do you think I'm all wet cash on that?
No, I think it is a lot because you are the main offense starter. She's usually guarding the other team's best shooter for the most part because she's running around all these screens. And then we're asking her to then produce on the offensive end with shooting threes and things like that. Usually when you have your best shooter, like a Taylor McCabe, she's guarding their third best guard, right? In that scenario. So yeah, it's definitely not easy. I will say that, but I think that there has to be something. Like, again, I'm not there, so I don't know what Callie is able to bring and not bring. There's got to be something. Like, there's got to be something to get something. But you know, at the end of the day, I do know as a coach, you play with who you are certain of. It just sucks for Chit Chat because it was okay before because you had a Taylor McCabe to rely on 3-point shooting, but now you don't have that. So
I think Jan's postgame. Do you want to say something, Corey?
No, go ahead.
I think Jan's postgame comments about Chit Chat is the greatest compliment she could ever got. And she's got so many levers and she's out of levers. So I hope Chit Chat takes as the greatest compliment she could ever get. And the last thing I'll end with and let you move on is I was watching the game. The Discord was pretty, what's the right description, lively. Corey, I think you're in the midst of it. You would validate that it was pretty lively. And we started talking. I didn't start talking, but everybody talked about, the record. If we lose this is what the records are going to be. And I just absolutely almost typed in, please shut up. Because I don't even want to accept that in my brain. And then right away after I thought that, I said, God, if we lose, there'll be no more Cash and Corey post game. And that's the best compliment I can give you right in the midst of all that fury. I thought about you two and what you bring to the Iowa program. And have a good night. And thanks for talking to me.
Thanks, Lomansky. Appreciate that. Yeah, it'll be this could have been our last show of the season, but it's not, so that's good. We appreciate that, Lomansky. Just wanted to give everybody a quick heads up that Iowa men's basketball will play tomorrow against 1 seed Florida, 5:10 Central Time in the PM on TBS. Big game. Post-game coverage with myself and Coach Close as always. But a big, big game, obviously. Opportunity knocks. Cash, they got nothing to – I'm going to ask you about this in just like 1 minute because we're going to sign off. I think Lomansky's our final call. Thank you so much for being around here a lot longer than you originally intended. So we certainly appreciate that. I know I do and everybody else does. We got to go quick fire here on a couple of people in the chat. James says he wasn't calling me fat. He just says that I can pick up the pounds. Since Kyle is not eating at Chick-fil-A, I'll take the Chick-fil-A. Okay, fine. Hey, everybody likes Chick-fil-A, right? Those fudge brownies are really good. So Chick-fil-A, if you're interested in sponsoring, please reach out. And Sprint Car. So if you don't know what Sprint Car is,
I don't.
I'll show you what Sprint Car is. This is what happens in Knoxville. That's Sprint Car.
Oh, that looks dangerous.
Yeah, it is. I believe it is dangerous.
Okay.
It
looks like no kind of support. That just okay.
Who was the guy? Somebody's gonna be able to tell us in the chat. I might go Google it. There was a famous NASCAR driver that was doing Sprint Car in Knoxville, Iowa, and had a pretty serious accident some years ago in my life.
Yeah, that looked crazy. Okay.
But yeah, that's what Knoxville is all about. So it's not as small as maybe some people think. But Shout out Knoxville, Iowa. Jake, we got a wrestling show coming up about 9:30 p.m. Central Time tonight because we got nationals fully underway, and the Iowa men have actually competed really well. So, Jake, will have wrestling coverage with Keegan this evening, approximately 9:30 p.m. Central Time. So we're not done today. ZJ says Iowa has opened up as a 14.5-point favorite on Monday against Virginia. So let's piggyback off that and just, I guess, hit this question. Brandon wants to know about keys. You talked a little bit about those earlier, but do you have any other keys for knocking out the Cavaliers? What do you know about that team? And then I guess to add on to that, Johnson for Virginia. So who are we talking?
We're going to have to hit threes tomorrow. I don't think we're going to be able to win the game in a zone shooting 1 for 13. It's just not going to work in that aspect. So I'm praying for something better. The only option within that is I don't know what our bag is as far as, when I say bag, I mean like our play bag. I don't know what our bag is as far as like zone plays, not like set plays. We're going to have to get real crafty in the zone if they're going to stay in that zone. But the other thing is we got to rebound the heck out of the basketball. We have to look like we starving and food is on the rim. Like we have to look like that if we're not going to be able to shoot from the outside. So, yeah. And then there was a question about who's guarding who. What was it?
Kimora Johnson. I've never watched her.
Kylie
I don't
is going to guard her. We don't have a choice.
And is she going to be able to guard her?
Yeah, if she does what she does. Now I will say Kimora she's a brute to a degree. She's very strong with that. So I'm curious to see how they match up. But I like us.
Is Virginia a better matchup for Iowa than Georgia or maybe even FDU today?
Yeah, because Georgia has way more athletic guards than Virginia does. So I'll take it.
K-Hawk 76 wants to know if Virginia plans a zone, can Iowa win if they zone Iowa?
If we shoot from the outside decently and we are passing is crisp, especially in like the high-low, in that scenario, if Journey can hit some high-low shots, heck, throw Stremlow in the high-low if you need to, because Journey can shoot from the outside. So mix it up a little bit.
Virginia is the 5th best scoring offense in the ACC. They are top 7 in 3-point field goal percentage, and they are also the 2nd best rebounding team in the league in basically every category: offensive rebounding, combined team rebounding. So Virginia is they excel in a couple of areas that Iowa dominated today. Well, one specifically, rebounding. And then, of course, Iowa did not dominate from 3, but they held FAIRLEIGH Dickinson to 48. And so it's going to be hard to do that to a team. Even in conference play only, Virginia averaged 74 a game. So this is a team that can score. Kimora Johnson is the one. I haven't researched them enough. You know more about them than I do. Cash,
Smith is a great 4 player too. I think she had 23 and 11 today.
Samaya Smith, yeah, she's averaging 8 and 7 on the year. 26 minutes played a night. But Kimora Johnson's the only player averaging. Samaya Smith. Samaya Smith had 11 boards, 23 points, 11 boards in 42 minutes. That's a huge game. She only had 2 points and 2 rebounds against Arizona State. So maybe a little of this, but
for sure. But I do know she's athletic and kind of same body structure as Hannah. So I'm curious to see who wins out that battle in general.
I see people letting me know that Tony Stewart is the racer that I knew somebody was going to get the driver. Excuse me. They got hurt in Knoxville. So yeah, I'm not going crazy on that. But yeah, Virginia, they bring it on offense, and Kimora Johnson's she's the only player on their team averaging double figures. That's an interesting stat. And so, you got a couple of you got 3, 4, 5 players averaging not 8 or 9 points per game, and very balanced on the glass. 4.5 a game for Johnson, 6 for Amanzi, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, 5 for Paris Clark, 4 for Romy Levy, and then 6 for Weimar, along with 7 for Smith, who you brought up, and 4 for Gabby White. So they're very balanced on the glass. And again, very good rebounding team. That might be my battle to watch just because of how well Iowa rebounded today. AJ wants to know if the coaches have started to look at players that have already hit the portal. You have to, right? If there's players that have either officially or unofficially hit the portal, there are some, situations where players can enter the portal earlier before the
Is
official.
The portal open?
The portal's not open, I don't believe, officially for everybody, but for some, if you're a graduate, I'm assuming D2 maybe there, because I've seen players entering the portal. Maybe their portal window's already open. So Janet brings up how 4 of the 5 starters for Virginia are quite tall. So that's going to be interesting. Gamora Johnson is just 5'7". So you're sure that won't be chit chat?
I don't think so. I mean, what are the guards again?
Well, let's see. Kimora Johnson, and then you have, I was going to say just the size. Amanzi is 6'4", the senior from Nigeria. Paris Clark is a starting guard from the Bronx. She's 5'8", senior guard. Romy Levy, who is also a guard, but she's 6'3" from Israel. And let's see, Weimar is 6'4".
Girl like to shoot threes, so I ain't too worried about that. That'll probably.
Samaya Smith is 6'2", so they do have some really good size once you get past like.
I still think you have to put your all Big Ten defensive player on their best player. That don't make no sense.
Right, that's true. It's true. If she's all Big Ten, she better be able to guard.
She got to. So you have to put her on her and then figure out the other 2.
No, I absolutely agree with that. Jennifer Palm Quistify. Y'all are ridiculous. Calm down. It was a bad game. You're hard to listen to.
I'm confused.
Hey, apparently she logged on 2 hours in.
But didn't we say it was a bad game? I don't get it. We pretty much saying the same thing.
Well, she hasn't listened, so she probably just logged on and is upset.
That's fair.
Critical, whatever. It's fine. Jennifer, thank you for being here. We welcome you back, but if you don't want to listen, you don't have to. Annie says it's been a successful season regardless. So there you go. Annie's opinion. We appreciate that. Pete Larson, probably already discussed, I assume, going away from Ava after the quick start. Well, going away from the starters. I just don't. You got to be able to react there, and I don't want to be quick trigger with my 6th and 7th player, but we did talk about that earlier. Fred got into the Discord safely. Thank you, Fred. Appreciate that. Sidmond, lifetime Hawkeye fan. This team can't shoot. Awful free throws. Cannot dribble. Embarrassingly awful passing. Well, that's probably strong language, but from some frustration. But they survived. They advanced. They're on to the second round of the NCAAs. They'll play the 10 seed Virginia. Time TBA on Monday. The Hawkeyes and the Cavs. We'll look forward to that one. Folks, be sure you give Big Grove Brewery your support. What a great place. They are the official craft brewery of the Hawkeyes and the official watch party headquarters of the Hawkeyes. My guess is it's bumping at all the Big Groves tonight because it's beautiful weather out on the patio, the fireplace. I'm just sure the fire pits are all going, all the big screens with March Madness. Man, I should be down there right now, but we're going to get Kachine up there next season, hopefully. We'll get her into to a Big Grove Brewery and do a live show there. But they are the official craft brewery and the official watch party headquarters of the Hawkeyes. Visit biggrove.com to learn about their Easy Eddie, their neighborhood beer, their Citrus Surfer. They have their Zero Eddie for those of you that don't want alcohol. You can still enjoy the taste of an Easy Eddie. Visit biggrove.com and check out their locations in Iowa City, Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, Solon, and now in Omaha. Big Grove's big play of the game, Ava Hayden's field goal plus the foul with 8:49 to go in the game, put Iowa back up 7. And for the most part, they held on to the lead. I mean, they held on to the lead from there to finish, but that was a big moment in the game in spite of FDU's tug of war game against the Hawks. And Iowa moves on to play Virginia. Folks, we'll have live post-game coverage tomorrow. I misspoke. Iowa, Florida is at 6:10 Central, not Eastern. So 6:10 Central tomorrow on TBS, 7:10 Eastern in Tampa. So kind of a late start for the marquee game in Tampa. I shouldn't say the marquee game, the game featuring a 1 seed in Tampa. So that's why I guess off the top of my head, I thought it was 6:10 Eastern, but 6:10 Central Time game will be on TBS. And again, the women will play Monday against Virginia. If you're interested in joining our Discord, instructions scrolling across the bottom of your screen. Donate via PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App. $5 if you went in for a month to try it. $50 for a year, no fees on top of that. I have to share this because this is, I don't know if you saw this, but last night I tweeted this pretty late in the evening before
I definitely didn't see it. I ain't been on no kind of social media.
Okay, well, I tweeted this pretty late in the evening, and I went to bed thinking nothing of it. I woke up, I kid you not, it had 2 million views. It had 2 million views. I mean, I don't go.
Buddy looked at him like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Dude, hey, I'm going to blow your mind for a second. That guy on the right is 6'8".
My God. Wait, time out. Look how small his head is.
I know.
To him.
And
like
what
his whole body is humongous. How tall is this dude?
He's 7'9". He's 7'9". So
oh my God, that's hilarious. I'd have felt just like him. Like, I know y'all lying. I know you lying.
So here was you can read his lips, and this is what I tweeted out. It was my NCAA moment of the day. A player on the right in this interaction is 6'8". That's Hassan Diallo from Prairie View A&M, and this is what he said. He looks at him in awe. He says, "You a freshman?" Olivier Roux says, "Yep." Diallo says, "You big boy." And then there was just silence, and then he says, "Where are you from?" And Roux is like, "Canada." And Diallo just looks at him.
Okay, let me see it again.
You can read his lips here. After he says, "Yep," he's a freshman. Start over. He says, "You a freshman?" Right here, freshman. And then he says, "You big boy." I just love that interaction.
Canada. He like, boy, I don't want to have this conversation. I'm in the game for like, you know what I'm saying? Because you know we don't get in the game yet.
And they were up by like 60 when this happened. What's hilarious, that's why this big guy was in, because he don't play.
He doesn't play. That's what I'm saying. He was trying to focus. You understand? Like, he wasn't trying to have no chit chat. That is so funny.
I just thought it was a great moment.
Look how small he looks.
It's just crazy. But yeah, it had 2 million views when I woke up. So anyways, pretty wild. But folks, please consider joining our Discord. It's a real fun time. If you're interested in donating to our show in some other way, links are all in the description. Kachine, thanks for being here, powering through. We hope you're feeling better on Monday.
Thanks, God. Better. Heck.
Monday. I have confidence. All right, folks. For Kachine Alexander, I'm Corey Bratta from the Hawkeye of the Storm. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Remember, wrestling coverage tonight, 9:30, recapping the NCAAs, and we'll talk to you tomorrow after men's hoops.